Welcome back to the shop, guys. This video is going to be on graphics, numbers, and plastic. Out here at Dade City Motocross, showing off my wife's fresh graphic kit we just put on. She has maybe one or two rides on it since we stuck these on. I call this the beer can graphics because it's reflective. She really likes it, but it's a reflective type graphics from the same company, Decal Lab EU. And on this one, it was just a facelift. All we did was pull off her previous graphic kit and stuck these graphics on her old plastic. The plastic was in good shape because it always had graphics on it, so we didn't have to worry about anything. There's my brother's 2023 YZ125. On this one, he chose to stick with the stock graphic scheme and just add some numbers. No flare, just old-fashioned black background with numbers. There's my nephew and my brother's son Caleb's bike. Same thing, stock graphic scheme, but this one he chose to put numbers with a little bit of flair to it. And then back to my wife's bike here. She really likes the way this looks. She does get a lot of compliments for it. I can honestly say that. And you know, graphics keep your bike nice and fresh because they don't get scratched up as easy as plastic does. So it does help preserve the bike. In the past, I used to be on a numbers only guy. That was really all I was concerned about putting on a bike. And it's important to have numbers on your bike. Especially if you're racing, obviously you need numbers. But even if you're just a practice day rider or a play rider, that's kind of your identification. Other riders get to know you by your number more than anything else. And it's just kind of a standard we have out there in the dirt bike world. But in the past, I used to only put numbers and maybe a rear fender decal. Because if you're like me and you have a tendency to drag your boot over the rear fender, that helps keep you from getting deep gouges in your plastic. It kind of it handles that kind of stuff better. And a swing arm decal, it keeps my boots from beating up the swing arm. But that was about all I used to do to my bikes in the past until I married this lady right here. And look at me, I had no hair back then. Huh, funny. Yeah, and she has a little bit more of an artistic flair than I do, and she first decorated her own bike and talked me into decorating mine. So she helped me decorate this one right here, the 2015 YZ450, and we used Decal Labs EU. That was the first company that she just decided to use. And you know, I put on a lot of graphics for customers in the past, and some brands are better at applying than others, and Decal Lab EU has been good. They apply good, they stick good, they have good designs. We'll talk about them a little bit more later in the video. But yeah, here's my YZ450, how it came out. This is the first bike I can honestly say was fully decorated in my whole life, you know, and it came out really well, thanks to her. Of course, as you saw in the beginning of the video, she now has the shiny graphics. I call these beer can graphics. That's what it looks like, the shine of a beer can. And lately, as you guys know, I've been using 1996 Throwback. And this graphic kit right here is from the same company, Decal Labs EU. I run the same design on my YZ250 as I do my 125. This is my 125 right here. But I'm currently in the middle of putting some new decals on my YZ250, just freshening up with some new plastic and new decals, and that's what you see here on the bench. I still have to do the front fender, but while I was doing this, I thought I'd take some time to discuss graphics. Later in this video, I'm going to take some clips from a video I did a while back when I was putting this YZ125 together. When I applied the graphics, I kind of gave a walkthrough of how to apply them. So I'm going to take them clips and put it in this video towards the end. But that's going to be towards the end. So stay tuned for that if you're interested in how to apply the graphics. In my experience, it is best to apply your graphics on plastic that's pretty fresh. If you're going to do your bike, you might as well do it when it's brand new or close to it, because the more scratches that you get on the plastic, the harder it is to get the graphics to stick perfectly smooth. And especially if you start getting deep scratches in the plastic, then you're always going to kind of see them through the decals. So it's better to go ahead and while the bike's still fresh and young, if you're going to decorate it, just go ahead and get right to it from the beginning. Now, if you have an old bike and you're looking to do a full graphic kit like this, it's probably wise to order some new plastic up for it. At least all the plastic you can get your hands on. Maybe not the airbox or the tank, but everything else, you know. And it turns out better that way. I mean, sometimes you get away with using old plastic. Like, this is my wife's bike, and we just we put another decal kit on this. We had one like this, but without the reflective, and she wanted the reflective, so I went ahead and pulled all that off, and we reused the plastic to get it done. It won't give as good of a finished product when you use the plastic, but it's good enough. You can still see some scratches right here and stuff like that. If this was new plastic, it would have looked even better, you know. But luckily, since the day we bought this bike, she's always had a graphic kit on it, so it didn't have any scratches underneath the area where we were putting the graphics, which means the new graphics stuck on well without any bumps or air bubbles or anything like that. There's all kinds of companies out there that can provide full graphic kits for you, customized graphic kits, things like that. So keep that in mind. Again, I'm not sponsored by Decal Lab. It's just that's my only experience with full graphic kits is through them. So and it's been doing me well. So that's why I'm pointing that out here. But there's one of their decals if you're interested. And then their website will be right here, Decal Lab EU. There's a couple other Decal Labs out there that is not the same as this one, like Decal Laboratory or whatever. So if you're interested in this company, that's it right there. And what you want to do with this company, or how I found this graphic kit that I'm currently using, is I emailed them and asked to see a sample of all their graphics for a YZ250 and YZ125, and they sent me over 100 different graphics to sort through. I found this. I was like, yes, I want that, but I want to change a few things. On the front forks, they only had Yamaha written right there instead of YZ, or instead of 125 or 250 like for my YZ 250. So what I did is I just sent them a picture of how this bike looked in 06, and I said, can y'all make something like that, just like it was originally in 1996? I mean, and they sent me back a picture of how it came out. I was like, that looks good, I'll take it. And then I was also able to choose what brands I wanted on the rear fender. I picked the color white because in 1996 these bikes had white fenders, and so I kind of wanted to give that 1996 look on top of the blue fender, so that's why I did that. But long story short, you get the email from them and you sort through all the graphics they have, you pick one that you like, and then you can email them back and say, I like it, but can you change this to this, or change the brands in the back, or the color of this, or you can customize it. Now recently I've noticed that they only allow 5 emails back and forth for customization, so you got to kind of wrap it up within 5 back and forth emails. But you know, back in the day, I think my wife went back and forth like 15 times. But so basically make sure you wrap it up pretty much in 5 emails, or they're going to start charging you more. But you should totally be able to do it in 5 emails. I've been able to do it. But if you're not going to get a full graphic kit like what we have here, again, I highly suggest numbers at least. That's just, even if you're a new rider and you're a slow rider, just pick some numbers to put on your bike. That's how we identify you on the track, and that's how we get to know you and recognize you. And the network will be tighter with your friends and stuff. Everyone's going to recognize you. They're going to know who you are. It's just how it goes. Just get some numbers at least. But yeah, this is for my YZ250 right here. As you see, I bought a new plastic for it. Thought I'd start fresh. I kind of got the bike pretty mangled up. You know, some of the plastic has little cracks in it on the shrouds and stuff like that. And she's been a good bike, so I thought I'd freshen her up. Like I said, all I got to do is finish up the front number plate there and put the swing arm decals on, the airbox decals, and I believe I got all this for about 175 or 200 bucks at my door. It's a bargain, honestly. It really is, especially because it's customizable. I can't believe I can get it at that price. But yeah, check them out. But okay, now I'm going to play the video clip of how to install your graphics, so enjoy. Okay, done with the YZ450. Back on to the YZ125. We're going to get the graphics on here. From Decal Labs EU. Yes, sir. I got a little number plate for the window of your car. That's the front. The swing arm. Let me put the stuff I don't need over here. Air box. Another number plate. Front fender. Tank. Some more of these little stickers here. Number plate again. Swing arm. Check out that. Radiator shroud. Airbox. Tank. Front number plate. Rear fender. Like I said, I emailed them and I just told they have different brands on here. I chose to pick the brands of the stuff that I use, the stuff that I use on the bike. I use some Yamaha lube products. I'm currently running the Dunlop tires, so that's good. Got a Pro Circuit silencer on her. I do wear Oakley goggles. I'm not running a Bell helmet right now. I'm running the, what do they call it, the D3 or D6. I don't know, heck, I don't even know, man. But I will be running a Bell helmet for my next helmet again. And then I use the Renthal handlebars, so that's why I did that. These go on the front fender too. Oh, another one of these little decals, and here we go. All right, I'm not going to remove all the plastic into it. I'll leave the tank on the bike. I'll get the number plates off, and I'll probably leave the fenders on and just apply the graphics while the fenders are still on the bike. But let me go get the seat off and the number plates off and the shrouds off. Let me start with that. While I'm here, I think I'll go ahead and start with the tank graphics. I gotta rip these graphics off. My brother would cry if he saw me do this. He loves his stock graphics. But here we go. Alright, here you go. As you know, if you want to replace these stock graphics from Yamaha, they don't sell them for cheap. And I think the reason they don't sell them for cheap is to kind of detour you from trying to make your let's say your 2020 look like their new 2021. If you wanted to do that, they're going to make you pay for it. That one's off. And I'll just stick that right there. Alright, let me go get the other side off and then we'll put the new graphics on. I like to use brake cleaner. Actually, let me spray it on this, so I don't want any of that overspray. Probably shouldn't have got that on my hand, but ugh. Yeah, brake cleaner really dries the surface off. You can use rubbing alcohol too. It doesn't dry it up as well, but it still gets it done. But if you got some brake cleaner, that we'll take the gas cap off here. You want to get it really dry, all the oil off of it, so the graphics can stick really good. There we go. Let's see. Try to get an idea where I need to send her. Okay. What I did is I just removed just the center, but I left the backing right here, so I don't have to worry about these two pieces flopping around and sticking this stuff as I get her on here. What I'm doing is I make sure that that corner right there is perfectly in its spot, and then I try to follow that line right here, but I see it goes too high there, so peel it back up. I really have to kiss that bottom edge good, it looks like, so that the top edge doesn't go over. That's looking like that's going to be okay. I try not to press them hard at first when I first start pressing it down, because if I have to peel it back up like you just saw that I did, it's not overly stuck on. It just kind of come right up, and then I can reposition it. So that's just fingerprints right there. Dirty fingerprints. Oop, I already started. You want to start on the edge right here and then roll it over. Now let me do the top end. And just like everything else in the series, this is not really a tutorial on how to put graphics on, but I'll give you some of the tips that I've learned throughout the years as I go along. One of the things I can tell you is they're not easy if you want to get them right. You want it to look decent. You have to take your time. I've done this quite a few times, so I have a little bit of experience doing it, so I might make it look a little bit easier than it really is, at least to make it look good. Like I said, anyone can just slap them on, but to make it look good, that's where it can start to become a little more difficult. Let me go ahead and grab the heat gun and get some heat on her. A blow dryer will work too, a hair blow dryer. If you don't have a heat gun, it doesn't work as good. You really got to sit there and work it. These heat guns are they're like a blow dryer, a hair blow dryer times 3 or 4. They get pretty hot. I almost forgot about these lips here. There we go. And then right up here, it's like lift up a little bit just from the curve it has to go through. That's where the heat does good. You heat the graphic up and it makes it pliable and flexible, and you can flex it right into that groove, and hopefully it'll stay and stick. Okay, I'll go do the other side now. Okay, got that on. I'm going to do something else here as well. If you look over here on this bike, you see how the graphic is just starting to peel out right there. They like to do that just from when you ride the bike, your legs, when you slide down right here, it eventually like starts to pull it out a little bit right here. This side's looking better, but still does it a little bit. And that would be a lot worse. It probably would have pulled that completely out and be hanging out, and people lose their tank graphics all the time because of that. But what I do to try to limit that is the same shoe glue I use right here. I'll put a thin layer all the way across this, just a real thin layer. That stuff's strong, so it'll grip from the tank to the graphics here and kind of keep it from getting slid down. Just to give you an idea how well that works. There's almost 200 hours in that graphic kit. Now, granted, my wife's riding the bike, but still, it's almost 200 hours. There it is. Got a little thin strip right here, thin strip right here. When it dries up, it does get thinner, like I mentioned earlier, but that'll keep the graphics from sliding off, so hopefully I can get 200 hours out of these graphics. Like I mentioned, you can get the stuff in clear if you're interested. I just so happen to have black, and you're not going to see it anyway once the seat's on. All that stuff will be hidden. Alright, time to rip these off. I don't think these have been there that long. They're come off pretty easy. I've had it where you leave them on the bike for a good 150 hours, and boy, they're hard to get off. But if they haven't been on there too long, they come off pretty easy. Yeah! Alright, let me do that to the rest of the radiator shrouds and number plates. Just got to clean them up with a little bit of brake cleaner and start sticking the new graphics on. Alright, I'll peel this out first, these holes. That'll help me line it up. Try to get it on as even as I can. Like I said, it's hard to get graphics perfect, but if you take your time, you can usually get them pretty good. Place it on ahead of time just to see how it fits when everything lines up. Okay, how am I going to start this one? I think I'm going to cut this one in half, more or less. I'm going to do it in sections. because there's always a little bit of flex, and so if you do it in sections, you can kind of, if you got to stretch it to make it match the next section perfect, or even if you have to shrink it down a little bit with a little bit of heat from the heat gun, we have that capability. Also, one thing that helps too is to like take that and fold that up. Gives you something to grab on once you have one part of it down. See, I can already tell that's at the wrong angle. Can't be scared to pull it back off if you have to here and there like I just did. Again, that's why I work in sections. That's why I am working in sections. And that's why I don't go pressing it on tight until I have most of it on and I'm good with what I see. So far, so good. Go ahead and work on the next section here. I'm not going to press that in there yet. I'm more worried about getting the alignment right now. Then I'll go around and I'll cinch it all in the corners. Right here is trying to wrinkle up on me, so I'm having to kind of press it on now to make sure we don't get any wrinkles. Wow, that came out really good so far. I mean, I met that corner perfectly. I'm looking for any major air bubbles only in the areas I've already stuck on, because if I had to peel it up to get that air bubble out, I could. I don't see any major air bubbles. Alright, now I'll start rolling her in on the sides. Let me see, I guess I'll start here. Sometimes they don't stick right away as you roll it in. That's okay. That's what the heat gun's for. We'll get to that here shortly. This is tough because you can see how far it has to go in here, and it's rounded. So you're basically having to stretch it to get in there. So I'm going to try to start at the deepest pocket of it, roll that in, get that stretch out of the way. And then I can work the rest of it in. And even then, you see how it keeps lipping back up? But that's where the heat gun's going to come in a second. That's going to lock that in. Got a little air bubble right here, but I'm not going to worry about it. Mild ones aren't bad. I've been able to use like a razor or a needle sometimes to kind of pop the graphic right there to get rid of the air bubble if it's big enough and I don't feel like peeling the graphic back off to get it right. I don't want to pop this one off to get that little air bubble out because I got it on there pretty good. The alignment's really well. I feel good about it. So I don't want to risk losing that perfect alignment that I seem to have right now. Air bubble right here, just work it off the edge. There we go. Oh, another one right here. That's another thing too, when you start hitting it with the heat gun, it seems like that's when if you have air bubbles, like I got one right here. Dang it, I'm gonna peel this up and work that out. If you have air bubbles that you really can't see yet, seems to be once you get heat on it, the heat makes the air expand. That's when the air bubble seems to pop its head out. And we have a couple here. See if I can work them to the edge. If you're close to the edge, you can walk them to the edge. There we go. You got a big one right there, but it's close to the edge, so all I got to do is just cinch it down and walk it to that edge. You'll hear it. Listen, I don't know if you caught that on camera. I heard it when it comes out. All right, get that area pretty hot because I need it to stick real good here. I'm going to take that part where it rolls, where it came too far over right here. You can trim that with the razor, but what I like to do is I first like to try to just roll it over the edge if I can. That way I don't have to trim it with the razor. If it won't stay, then you have to trim it, but if it stays like that one seems to be doing, you can just leave it like that. Same thing here, roll it over the edge because it kind of went over just a little bit. Get it nice and hot to help it stick over the edge here. If I come back later and it's having a hard time hanging over, I can trim it with the razor. It's not the end of the world. Looking pretty good. A couple mild air bubbles here and there, but some of the milder air bubbles kind of disappear on their own after a while, so I don't worry about the real small ones. Of course, I try to limit any air bubble I can, but it just happens. You can do the most perfect job or think it's perfect. Like I have one right here. You can think it's perfect, then you hit it with the heat gun, and what happens? Air bubble pops up. It's just how it is. But give it time. They kind of go away on their own usually. Some of the smaller ones will. Alright, let's move on to the next. I got the elevator shroud on. Just gotta do the whole heat gun thing now. That one came out equally as good as the other side, maybe even a tick better. Even though I'm hitting it with a heat gun now, obviously I'll wake up tomorrow morning, come out here and see that there's another spot that started to lip up or whatever. Ooh, nice big air bubble here, but it's on the edge. I can work it out. Like I said, once you start hitting it with heat, that seems to be when some air bubbles will kind of stick their head out. That heat makes a little bit of air that's already trapped underneath there expand, and it'll show you where the air bubble is at. Work that one to the edge. There we go. when I was at Loretta Lynn's, I got to see, I guess you can call it a Tomac replica bike underneath the Yamaha little race tent there. And one thing I noticed was the graphics that they use on his bike, they use a matte finish, not a shiny finish. I thought that was interesting. It's a shiny matte finish. It's matte, but it has a little bit of glaze to it. Pretty cool looking. I wonder what the reason is. Maybe so they can just slap the graphics on and not have to worry about bubbles. I don't know, but it looked pretty cool. And it was the first time I ever think I've seen that done before. Little air bubble here. You can probably work that to the edge. Ooh, big air bubble right here. Walk that out. Alright, she's pretty much done. This one should be pretty super easy. I'm just gonna follow mainly this edge right here. I'm gonna get it lined up the best I can to that edge and that circle. Center that circle out right here the best I can with that edge. And let me see, if I do that, let's see how everything else lines up. Yeah, that's how it's gonna be right there. So, all right. See, he wants to go over right there, so I'm gonna have to pull this off and redo it. Air bubbles show up the most with black. So when you're putting black on, you want to do your best not to get air bubbles. Let's see, perfect. Met that edge, perfect. All right, I love it when that happens because you really don't know until you get there. It can change on you. You think you have it right, and finally, oh, got an air bubble over here. Like I said, black is one area that you have to be real careful with the air bubbles. Got another one. 2 of them. Jeez. I'm not going to suffer you through all this plastic. I just wanted to hit at least one radiator shroud and one number plate for you guys to get an idea. Time to roll her over the edge now. I think I got it good. I don't see any more major air bubbles. Looking good. Alright, heat gun. Oh, got an air bubble right underneath there. Let me see. Sometimes you can peel that back up. Oh, I might have to suffer with that air bubble. I really can't get that graph. Oh wait, hold on, here we go. Here we go. Alright, got them out of there. Alright, heat gun time. Now I probably should replace this number plate. I'm just now noticing it's a little crinkled up right here. Too late now. No runner. Oh yeah, a little air bubble here. Walk that to the edge. Oh, she don't want to go. She sometimes are really small. You can't really walk them. Alright. There it is. Oh man, it's got an air bubble right there. That's a bad place. Oh man. Alright, what I did is I waited for it lifting back up like this when they're smoking hot still. See if I can get just enough to get that. Just enough room to be able to walk it out. Because when it's hot, you'll stretch it if you peel it back off when it's hot. So if you're going to peel the graphic back up, wait till it cools down. Alright, got that much better. Still a tiny one right there. But that's, it's so small. Them small ones kind of go away on their own after a little while. Because, you know, like anything, the graphics and the plastic are porous. It does breathe. So it just doesn't go away overnight. Sometimes you almost have to forget about it. It'll be a couple weeks later, you'll look and it'll be gone. Alright, front number plates, I like to have it on even as everything else. What I usually do is I'll take a Sharpie like this and I'll mark a line once I get it even, so when I go to stick it on, I just match up the lines. Then I can use brake cleaner or rubbing alcohol a little later and remove that line. I'll show you when I got it done. Alright, what I did is I put a line up here. You see? And a dot and a line. I got two dots there, but it's a lower dot I'm paying attention to. And a line there. And when I go to put the graphics on, I'll bend it like this and start at the center and line the lines up. And then work towards the edges, and it should be even. There you go. Start in the center. A little off on the top and start again. See, appears to be even enough, so let's give it a shot. Try to work air bubbles out. Definitely don't want any air bubbles in the front number plate. You'll see that every time you walk up to the bike. already see an air bubble there. Let me address that. All right. And work it in right down here. Anytime you got multiple crinkles, you just kind of even it out as you're setting them down. Just work on the biggest one closest. Start with that and work your way down. The heat gun's always your friend if they get too nasty. Wow, that came out pretty decent. See it match, it just barely hangs over right there. Barely. But even here too. Right here, top corner, bottom centers, right here. That's pretty even, pretty good. All right, hit it with, wait, check for air bubbles first, because if I gotta take any out, I will. I don't see any. I'm scared there's gonna be an air bubble that pops up right here. I can almost see it already before I even hit it with heat. Because I know what's going to happen. The minute I hit it with heat, it's going to stick its head out. I can just see it. Just really press it in that crease. Now it should be okay to hit it with some heat. And even then, one popped up right here. The thing about heat is it does, like I said, it'll make them pop out. Almost dropped my camera. Just dab a brake cleaner, and that comes right off there. There we go. Still a little bit up in there, but I'm not worried about it. I got it cleaned up here though, so all right. Guess I'll go ahead and knock out the airbox decals real quick before I get to the fenders. Same thing with the rear fender. Use the Sharpie right here, mark the center point. You know, press on the edges right here, find what the center point is. And same with the rear. Put a little dot right in the middle there, so I know the center point, so I can get her centered out. Rear fender is done. That came out great. Front fenders. These YZs have the hardest front fender to put graphics on because of all these sharp edges. So let's see how good I can do it. So here's the hard part with this front fender. It's this right here. You get these crinkles. They're really difficult to get rid of. Do the best you can to even it out as you're pressing it down so you get as few crinkles as possible. And then I'm going to heat it with the heat gun and work them over with my finger and try to press them in. Alright, that's pretty much the best I can get it right there. Maybe a mild crinkle right here. And ever so mild one right here. But that's about the best you can ask for on that front fender. I got 2 more strips put right here. Alright, that's the best I can get it. Like I said, these are tough. A little overlap right there, but it kind of just ended up that way to fit perfectly on it. A little bit even overlap right here too. Otherwise, very little crinklage up here. That's probably the best one I've done, honestly. They're pretty tough. Look at my wife's. Look at how big that crinkle is. They just kind of, it's really tough. That part is tough. Unfortunately, it sounds like my heat gun. It's only got a few more shots left. Listen to it. It's not sounding too good. I hope I at least get done with this job. I can buy another one. All right, so we got to do the swing arm, and the decals will go in the forks, and I am done. And the fork decals, these can take a lot of heat to get them to stick really well. These did not come with the kit. I had to buy these separately. All right, got the swing arm decals on. Let me stick all the plastic back on in the seat. Let's see how she looks. All right, besides the new chain and the shifter lever that's going to arrive today, hopefully, she's a finished product and ready to go. Check her out. Yeah, brand new tires, graphic kit all done. Have the springs and the suspension front and rear sprung for how I think I'm gonna like it. Although I think I might go one stiffer spring in the rear after I run her in a little bit. But yeah. There she is. It's a 1996 throwback. Sweet. Oh, by the way, well, that's pretty much it, fellas. I really appreciate you guys watching this. I hope everyone has a really good weekend of riding. I won't be riding myself this weekend. We're going to go camping at some springs. So I'm going to take a week off of riding, which is something new for me because I pretty much ride every weekend. I can't remember last weekend that I missed. It's been that long. But I'm going to miss one this weekend. But I hope you guys get out there and have a great time. And as always, I appreciate all my subscribers out there. And I hope to see you guys out there on the track or the trail. Have a good weekend. Catch you next time.